Hi, Wolven Ascend. How's everybody doing? Here we are, Thursday night, mid-crazy week. So sad because the last Instagram live that I did with my friend Mitra Puliti, we had such a wonderful conversation, but for some reason Instagram didn't save it to IGTV. So I'm really sad about that. But I just love speaking with Mitra so much that we're actually going to have another conversation on Facebook Live, which I'll share with you all. So it'll be next Wednesday around the same time. Hi, Josh. Hi, everybody. I think I saw Stuart pop on too. So tonight I actually wanted to do a live about something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. Thank you. You like my ET shirt? And I'll preface this with a trigger warning. So I apologize to anybody that maybe will come on after the fact, but I'm going to offer a trigger warning now because I want to talk about the spiritual consequences of alcohol consumption. So I'm not sharing this live as a form of judgment or to cast judgment on anyone. Everybody's path is different. Everybody's relationship to things are different. Vice is inherent to the human condition. You know, whether that vice is coffee, caffeine, junk food, alcohol, cigarettes. Us humans are sensitive creatures and we're prone to addiction. And not everything is abused or turned into an addiction. But why I want to give a trigger warning is because I want to share a little bit about my journey with you all. And within that journey, it talks about the effect that alcohol has had on my life and why 4 years, I wish, 4 months ago, I decided that I'm no longer going to drink. So to backtrack a little bit about my why. My dad died a week after I turned 21. Exactly 1 week from my 21st birthday. And when he died, it was both expected and not expected, but I was in the room with him when he left this earth. So the day my dad died, I held his hand as he left the physical form. And that experience really molded me, shaped me, broke me. It was the inciting incident, I guess, on my hero's journey of understanding the way of the world through the lens of a fool. And I became quite foolish after that, you know, being 21, losing my dad, and then coming into money and not having any real guidance. I suppressed a lot of my sensitivities and just wanted to numb. So during that time of my life, I was like partying in New York a lot, hanging out with like all these like wealthy people, clubbing, having a time. And ironically, that New York time was spent mostly at 666 Greenwich was the address of my best friend at the time, which is like everything connects. So I've had this ongoing weird relationship with alcohol because I associate a lot of it with the pain of losing my dad and also the pain of having an alcoholic parent. So alcoholism takes many forms. So it's not necessarily about how much you drink. It's about how that drinking affects you when you do drink it. So some people can drink and be fine and totally cool. Other people can have a glass of alcohol and it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And there's something called adult children of alcoholics. So if you have an alcoholic parent or have dealt with this in your life, when a therapist had told me about that as a thing, like adult children of alcoholics, it was like a mind-blowing moment for me. We're like, whoa, this is true. We tend to be very sensitive and spiritual and just craving love and wanting to love and give love and having very porous boundaries. So that's definitely something that boundaries have been a thing. So over the last few years, you know, my relationship with alcohol has been weird. I've never really drank a lot, but when I do drink, it makes me sick. And I usually throw up and don't feel good and have really bad anxiety the next day. It just never has been something that walked well with me. So again, if you're just tuning in, I'm going to keep saying trigger warning as I have this conversation. In July, I had a really traumatic thing happen with a member of my family. It was really hard. It was really embarrassing. It really hurt. And when that happened, just seeing it and zooming out, I was like, I just never want to drink again. I don't ever want to participate in something that can bring out such an ugly side of people. So that was my no more, not for me. And then when I said, okay, no more, not for me, even though I really wasn't drinking that much, I came across an article that I'd love to read with you all because it really helped recontextualize alcohol from a spiritual perspective. I've been on this spiritual path. We're all on a spiritual path. From the moment we're born, Earth is a school to awaken us. It's a bed for souls to awaken through triumphs, tragedy, adversity. Everything's here to teach us. So when I say like my spiritual path began, it's not that like yours hasn't. I think like all of our spiritual paths are happening simultaneously. That's why we're here. But I guess when I really like said, okay, I'm going to lean into this and step into this deeper was in the summer of 2013. After I went down to Costa Rica and had my first experience with plant medicine. That was my, okay, I'm really going to do this. So spirituality, has been a really integral part of my path and why I started Evolve and Ascend. So looking at alcohol from a spiritual perspective, I think can be really helpful just to put things into context. So this article was written by somebody named Zara Sita, and I originally found it through a platform called Waking Times, which is run by my friend Dylan Charles, who actually I met in Costa Rica the first time I did plant medicine. So again, trigger warning. This is talking about alcohol. This is talking about spiritual consequences of alcohol. And so this is what the article states. So although it is mass-produced, mass-promoted, legal, and ingested by a multitude of people all around the world, most people don't even consider or understand the spiritual consequences of drinking alcohol. Let's begin by taking a look at the etymology of the word alcohol. Etymology means the root of the word, where it is derived from. The word alcohol comes from the Arabic al-kul, which means body-eating spirit, and gives root to the origins to the English term for ghoul. In Middle Eastern folklore, a ghoul is an evil demon thought to eat human bodies either as stolen corpses or as children. The words alembic and alcohol, both metaphors for aqua vitae or life water and spirit, often refer to a distilled liquid that came from magical explorations in Middle Eastern alchemy. In the words of writer and health enthusiast Jason Christoff, in alchemy, alcohol is used to extract the soul's essence of an entity, hence its use in extracting essences for essential oils and the sterilization of medical instruments. By consuming alcohol into the body, it in effect extracts the very essence of the soul, allowing the body to be more susceptible to neighboring entities, most of which are low frequencies. Why do you think we call certain alcoholic beverages spirits? That is why people who consume excessive amounts of alcohol often black out, not remembering what happened. This is what happens when the good soul we are sent here with leaves because the living conditions are too polluted and too traumatic to tolerate. The good soul jettisons the body, staying connected to a tether, and a dark entity takes the body for a joyride around the block, often in a hedonistic and self-serving illogical rampage. Our bodies are cars for spirits. If one leaves, another can take the car for a ride. Essentially, when someone goes dark and after drinking alcohol or polluting themselves in many other ways, the body often becomes possessed by another entity. So I'm going to continue on with the article, but as I'm reading this, as with anything, take what resonates and discard what doesn't. The art of metaphor is a really beautiful thing to adopt in your understanding of anything spirituality. Metaphor, poetry, riddles, things to unpack for understanding the complicated nature of infinity. So again, take what resonates, discard what doesn't. Continuing with the article. So I became of this phenomenon years ago when I was given a spiritual vision. In this vision, I was transported as an observer above a popular bar and nightclub. Above the venue were a variety of ghoul-like entities. Inside the bar were people drinking alcohol, socializing, dancing, and so on. I watched as certain people became very drunk. I saw their souls, while connected through a thread, exited the body. I understood that the soul was leaving the body because of the great discomfort of being in a body highly intoxicated with alcohol. When the soul exited the body, other non-benevolent entities entered or latched onto their vacant shells. Once the entities took hold of the body, they used the body to play out all kinds of dark acts such as violence, low-level sexual encounters, destructive behaviors, rape, etc. Years later, while reading a book called Man's Eternal Quest by Paramhansa Yogananda, the spiritual master clearly explained the same exact thing that I was shown in the vision. I began to look over my life and remember situations where I saw dark spirits hanging around people who had become very drunk. Let me elaborate a bit when I say I saw these entities. Again, I'm not the one who wrote this article, so if you're just tuning in, this article was written by a writer named Zara Sita, and it's called The Spiritual Consequences of Alcohol. When this live is over and I share it to Instagram stories, I'll add a swipe up link if you want to read it. Or if you just Google The Spiritual Consequences of Alcohol, it'll take you to this article. So, as she said, let me elaborate a bit. When I saw these entities, I have the abilities of clairvoyance, the ability to perceive things beyond the natural range of the senses, which can include ESP, extrasensory perception, sixth sense, psychic power, second sight, telepathy, and more. Clairaudience, which is the ability to perceive sounds or words from outside sources in the spirit world, and the experience of being a spiritual intuitive and empath since childhood. I have the ability to see energies and spiritual manifestations that most people don't see. As I look back over my life, I could remember many incidents of encountering non-benevolent spirits in the presence of intoxicated individuals. I've also had experiences of looking into the eyes of a few people who were surely possessed by dark energies that were not their own. I also remember taking a psychology course, and in part of this course we studied advertising and the effects on humans. We looked at the advertising for alcohol. A master teacher of this subject illuminated the fact that most alcohol advertisements are embedded with hidden messages and images, not typically perceivable to the common sight, yet perceived through the subconscious. Pause for a second. So if you want to learn more about this, like hidden programming, things like that, there's a documentary filmmaker named Adam Curtis to better understand kind of what we're in right now with the election and Trump's America. I highly recommend Hypernormalization. You can find it for free on YouTube, but he has another documentary. It's called Century of the Self, and it's about how Sigmund Freud's nephew actually was taught by Freud basically how to play to baser human instincts and use PR as a tool of manipulation and subconscious programming. So whether you're tuning in now or after the fact, to further kind of understand where the rest of this article is going to go, I really recommend looking into Adam Curtis's work, Hypernormalization, to kind of get a better idea of the crazy chaos that we're in right now, and Century of the Self to understand how PR is actually like a psychological tool of manipulation. So, back to the article. Knowing how powerful the subconscious is in our decision-making, feelings, reactions, belief, etc., the slick sales team of alcohol, as well as tobacco and other products, use this sinister technique to trick us into buying their products and joining the societal cult of mental apathy and cultural obedience. Many of these hidden messages and images were extremely sexual, working to influence some of the basest urge and primal nature of humans. Again, absolutely watch Century of the Self. It will blow your mind. And Adam Curtis is an amazing documentary filmmaker. The way he puts it together with found footage is so good, and the soundtracks are really good. It's not just like some woo conspiracy theory documentary. It's actually like beautiful film put together. So let this example bring you to a place of curiosity and questioning. Why have the marketing teams felt the need to trick us and coerce us through subliminal messages to buy products that are harmful to the human body and to our soul? How many times have you or someone that you know, after becoming quite intoxicated with alcohol, behaved in a manner uncommon to them? Perhaps you experienced the changing of a voice, violence, sexual promiscuity, ingesting of harmful substances, destruction to property, conflictual behavior, and other negative expressions. Consider these experiences and ask yourself, is this the manifestation of light, love, and positivity? Do these occurrences represent a path of consciousness and health? It is known by many that ingesting alcohol depresses the nervous system, kills brain cells, and is toxic to the liver. It weakens the immune system and has many other harmful effects. We are taught that the long-term alcohol can lead to unwanted weight gain, diseases of the liver, lowering of intelligence, and negative effects on hormones. Drinking alcohol while pregnant can lead to birth defects, mental retardation, and deformities in the developing fetus. Yet still, it is mass-promoted and supported by our mainstream culture. Have you ever considered that alcohol is a slick tool of the supporters of the Matrix to keep people on a path of disempowerment and sickness? Again, take what resonates, discard what doesn't. We have to ask why alcohol is legal throughout most of the world, yet in many countries, specifically the United States, psychedelics are illegal. Well, no, we have some big news with a lot of decriminalization news happening this week. So the conscious and safe use of psychedelics or visionary medicines are known to assist the mind in mind expansion, to initiate spiritual experiences where people have communed with the divine, healed numerous physical and spiritual ailments, increase intelligence, help to repattern the brain in a positive way, assist people in aligning with their soul's purpose, and have inspired many other people to create great works of art and other innovative creations. It seems that these substances would definitely be banned and discouraged if there truly is an agenda to oppress the human potential and keep us in the dark regarding who we are as spiritual beings, our innate potential, and the path to empowerment. As we strive to heal, awaken, and transform the world, I pray that we wise up to the dirty trick played upon humanity in regards to alcohol. Non-benevolent forces have wanted to keep us oppressed, disempowered, and asleep. How many of us have seen families broken and lives lost because of alcohol and alcoholism? Do you think it makes us smarter, healthier, or better people? It's time to change things. Let's stand behind replacing the rampant abuse of alcohol with more health-embracing practices and activities. Learn how to live awakened and empowered lives. Before I close this writing, I want to share a little more about the history of the word alcohol. There have been some people who look into the etymology and discover this explanation. Alcohol, noun, 1540s, early 15th century as alcohol, fine powder produced by sublimation. From medieval Latin, alcohol, powdered ore of antimony. From Arabic, alcohol, coal, the fine metallic powder used to darken the eyelids. From kahala, to stain paint. 1493 through 1541 used the word to refer to a fine powder but also a volatile liquid. By the 1670s, it was being used in English for any sublimated substance, the pure spirit of anything, including liquids. Sense of intoxicating ingredients in strong liquor is first recorded in 1753, short for alcohol of wine, which was extended to the intoxicating element in fermented liquors. In organic chemistry, the word was extended 1850 to the class of compounds of the same type as this. Upon further research, we can find that in ancient Egypt, the eyes of both men and women were lined top and bottom with a thick black powder known as kohl, kahal, or mesdemet. The outlined eye resembled the almond shape of the falcon god Horus, observed in the eye of the Horus glyph. It was believed that this shape invoked the god's protection and warded off evil spirits. Yet, if one were to dig deeper, as a true scientist, researcher, or truth seeker does, you will discover these interesting facts. Dr. Rachel Hajar, an accomplished modern-day editor, author, and medical advisor, while researching an article on alcohol for her online medical journal, found additional meanings in ancient Arabic text. Alcohol, genie or spirit that takes on varied shapes, or a supernatural creature in Arabic mythology. Alcohol, and a drug or substance that takes away the mind or cover it. The word alcohol is also linked to the fixed star in astronomy known as Algol, also known as the demon's head. The current Arabic name for alcohol, ethanol, is Algol, properly meaning spirit or demon. Etymology is interesting. We're almost done, and then I'll open it up for some Q&A, and then I figure if we have anybody still with me, I can pull some Amenti Oracle cards and just check in and see how you're all doing through this wild week that we're surfing through. So, in wrapping up, It is not a coincidence that alcohol has often been referred to as spirits. There's a deep history behind this intoxicating substance. There are layers of information throughout our culture. We have to look below the surface of things to find the fullness of truth. I encourage you to deeply consider the information shared here. Look at the effects of alcohol in your life and the lives of the people you know and in society at large. Make conscious, informed, and health-enhancing decisions. The more people who awaken to truth and seek health and liberation from mind control are more likely to make positive changes and co-create a world we feel good about living in. So again, this article, The Spiritual Consequences of Alcohol, was written by Zara Sita. And Zara Sita is a holistic healer, health educator, herbalist, writer, spiritual intuitive, initiate of the Great Mystery School, and more. You can learn more about her by reaching out to her on Facebook. And I'll share all these links when we finish doing this live, and I share it to IGTV. So, spiritual consequences of alcohol. It's really, really interesting. So if you take it all with a grain of salt and just look at the metaphor that the etymology of the word means body-eating spirit. And when you're ingesting alcohol, it's literally taking the spirit away. It's something to consider. And this is not, again, not here to judge or to bash. Everybody can have their own relationship to it. Sobriety is not for everybody, but in my own personal path, today actually marks 4 months that I haven't had any alcohol, and I feel really good. I feel really clear. In social situations, I don't even feel like I need it, you know? Maybe that's like being in LA. It's a little different. For me, the New York, New Jersey just became really toxic and wasn't really good for my mental health period. So, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I feel better without it. And today I also got, you can't see it, but I got a tattoo of Ziggy, which is my beloved familiar who passed away in October. So today I wanted to share that article. I wanted to share some perspective. And again, take what resonates, discard what doesn't. Algol is 26 degrees Taurus. I wonder, Rosia, what it breaks down in numerology. What is the numerology of alcohol? I wonder what number it is. I honestly think it's all a little silly. Yeah, exactly. So I've come on here and talked about the Tao, right? And how the Tao is this balance between yin and yang, and it just is. And I found that article really interesting, and it spoke to me, but it's not like the end all be all of things. For me, it just helps me contextualize like, oh wow, when I drink, I don't really like how I feel. And if I look back to the etymology of the word as body-eating spirit, maybe I am not doing the best thing for my spirit. But that's just for me. And we all have our personal relationship with everything. I also have an alcoholic parent, so it's different. I don't think alcohol is inherently good or bad. We each have our different programming and different chemistry and different traumas. So again, it's not to judge. It's just to share an article that I thought was really interesting. And I don't agree with everything that she said, but I did find a lot of resonance in it. And I can personally say that I feel better without alcohol. But I don't know, will I not drink forever? Maybe. But if I decide to maybe have wine again in the future, I don't know. TBD. But no judgment. Just sharing something that I thought was really interesting. And etymology is a great tool. It's something that actually I started getting a little deeper into from a former client of mine who was very much into etymology. And I notice a word that I say a lot, and I still say a lot, is excited. I'm always excited. I'm excited about things. But the etymology of excited actually has a root in to be anxious. So every time I'm saying I'm excited about something, oh, you're welcome, Court. I'm glad that it helped. So every time you're saying you're excited about something, you are saying you're anxious about something. So what is anxiety? Anxiety is emotional kind of response about like a fear of the future. You know, depression is kind of like living in the past. Anxiety is like future tripping, right? And words are powerful. It's called spelling for a reason. There's a really great YouTube video where I forget the person that did it, but I reference it a lot. I should have the creator known by now, but she talks about just a word that we wake to make a living in order to have a life. So it's like in the morning we wake, and when we think of wake, that's like also a funeral. So it's like we're waking to have a life. It's very interesting. I'll find the YouTube video and talk about it at another date so I can pull it up to reference it and not just paraphrase. Algol is a fixed star, very ancient stuff. I don't know about the etymology, but the star is at 26, so 8. Wow, the infinity. 8 is actually my life path number too. And what is 8 in the tarot? 8 is it strength or the star? I don't have them memorized yet. For sure. I've also battled with it. It's like cocaine. In New York City, it's filthy. The spirit is foul, yet in the jungle, the plant is a medicine. Exactly. I haven't been to Peru, but one of my friends, she goes to Peru to do plant medicine, and they give you coca leaves to chew on to help with the elevation. And, you know, for there, it's medicine, like you said. In New York, or even here, I mean, it's cut with fentanyl, and like you can literally die from it. But in Peru, it's used as a medicinal tool that can actually help against adverse effects of elevation. Strength, yes. Gosh, isn't that weird that it's strength? In tarot, it breaks down to an 8. It's interesting how it all connects. It's interesting to have these conversations and to be able to hold both potentials of it. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it both? Is it neither? It's worth all discussing, and it's worth sharing, you know. I share my journey just to humanize this platform and to offer perspective of something that's worked for me. But what works for me isn't always going to work for everybody. This path is not a one-size-fits-all model. Truth is a pathless land. You're welcome. The 8th house is Hades energy. Oof. Rocio, I'd love to do a live with you one of these days. I feel like you could teach us so much about astrology, and I'm not adept at it by any means. It's so strange. I think astrology for me is like, because it feels very mathematical and scientific. I don't feel as attracted to it as I do to like oracle cards or like the perennial philosophies, like from a metaphorical stance of like looking at like, how can I find the poetry behind the words? So one day, if you're down, I'd love to do a live if you feel up for it. So beyond that, how's everybody feeling? How's everybody doing? Such a strange, uncertain week. Again, I'm not here to judge where you fall on the political spectrum. I'm not here to cancel anybody. Wherever you fall politically, I think there's still like tension on either side. So this has been a week that I think tending to our mental health and self-care is really necessary. I posted a meditation that I think will be very helpful if you're struggling at all. It takes you to your safe space to acquire wisdom, to transcend fear, to find a way to like quell anxiety through this uncertain time. Hey, Marnie. Hi, I love you. Thank you for popping in. I got Kira in the background. So yeah, I mean, it's a weird time. I posted on my personal Instagram. It was funny, you know, it's very weird, all this stuff about like the Mandela effect, and there are these episodes of The Simpsons where like the Simpsons literally like predicted things that happen, which is like so weird. It's not just like, hey, this looks like this here. It's like literally episodes of The Simpsons like that like predicted Donald Trump being president. You're like, how? But in the OA, the second season of the OA, when Nina Prairie OA wakes up in the other dimension in the hospital. They ask her who the president is. And I'm glad you shared this. It was very random. No, there's no random because I was talking about this. No, so there's no random. Never random. If everything is connected, then everything connects. So I'm glad that you found resonance in this. But yeah, back to second season of the OA, she woke up in the hospital and they asked her who's president. She's Barack Obama. They go, no. And they pull the curtain and it's Joe Biden. This is really interesting. So if media casts spells, who knows? Who knows? Don't want to get too much into politics. I just want to make sure that you're all doing all right and to just offer some support. Yay, Court. Day 2, one day at a time. I have an app on my phone called I Am Sober. For me, just for goal setting, at least, even like with calendars and however I just like personally relate to like setting a goal and being inspired, is like having kind of like a countdown timer helps me, or like just a tracker, fitness, whatever. So I Am Sober is a really great app, and it shows you like, if you estimate how much that you spend on alcohol, it'll say like, well, you've estimated this much you've saved. And then it shows you how many days, months, weeks, hours, and gives you motivational quotes to keep you inspired. The quotes are kind of lame, but the counter is cool. I Am Sober, and it's free, which is great. I think it's free. I think the premium one just gives you access to more like community stuff. So, yeah. So I figure, before I head off for the evening, because I haven't eaten today, I probably should eat dinner. I would pull some cards for you guys if you want to just, I'll do like a 1-card pull for anybody that's interested. Not going to go into a deep reading, but using the Amenti deck. I'm the author of an oracle deck called Amenti Oracle. It came out a little over a year ago. So this is the deck. And yeah. So I'll pull a few cards. If you're interested, give me a something, a yes, and I'll pull a card for you and give you some advice for the week. And then I'll pop off until we do our next one. Ish, cool. Cool, Callie Pet Care, you got it. Ish, what is your name? Is it Ish? I'll pull a card for you, and I'd love to know your name. And Callie Pet Care, if you could let me know your name too, it'll help personalize the reading. So, yeah. So, oracle cards are different than tarot cards. This is more of an affirmation. Ish, perfect. To help you through the week ahead. Something to meditate on, something to hold on to, something to seek inspiration from. You can even use it as a mantra. So, the card that you got, Ish, is I am kind. I am kind. So, I love her because, you know, fire burns, fire cleanses, fire purifies. Fire is a destructive force, but it's also a creative force. And it can be a kindling for something new to emerge. So as something to focus on this week is that what can you destroy in order to create room for something new in the way of negative self-talk or in the way of negativity, period? Are you being kind to yourself? Are you being kind to others? What kind of compassion are you kindling in the world around you? How can you create from that force, from that inner fire? The serpent is a really powerful metaphor because as the serpent sheds its skin, it's still the serpent, just transformed. And the serpent eating his tail, the Ouroboros, is a symbol of infinity. So as you change and transform, you know that you're still you, you're just letting go of all that's not you. And in this process, just remember to be kind to yourself and to kindle that forward-ish. So that's for you. I am kind. And that's from the Amenti Oracle deck. So next we have Danielle, and then Court, and then Marnie. So Danielle, let's see what we got. And I see Callie Pet Care. Are you based in Cali? I'm in Los Angeles. I just moved here in September. And Carlos, I'll do you next. When I moved to LA, I moved into the, on the hottest day of the year. I pulled into Malibu and it was like 117 degrees. And I was like, oh, what is going on? So, Danielle. I am open to love in various forms. I am open to love in various forms. So, whether you're in a relationship, married, single, wherever you are on the spectrum of relationship, collaboration, where in your life can you be more open to love? Where can you be more receiving to love in various forms? Whether it's through a friendship, a pet, a significant other, or not a significant other, or something in your life that brings significance and inspires feelings of love. Because the more you open to love, the more you are open to receiving love, the more that you can imbue, radiate, emanate, and be in that form of love. And, you know, love presents itself in so many different ways. I talk about love so much about like not being this thing to necessarily attain, but it's a level of consciousness to lean into. You know, love is a superlative human state of being. It's something that we can be because we are, and it's something that is precious and wonderful. But the more we try to hold it and control it, the more it feels like elusive. But just being open to love coming through and to you in a multitude of ways is the message that's coming through. Is just stay open to receiving it, because the more you're open, the more you receive, the more you can imbue, the more you can radiate. So remaining open to love in various forms. And even if that really boils down to self-love. So are you giving yourself enough self-care? Are you taking time to be selfish? Being selfish is not really being selfish at all. It's actually like you can't pour from an empty cup, right? They even say on the airplane, like when in an emergency, you have to put on your oxygen mask first. So remember to also take care of yourself in the process. So I am open to love in various forms. Next we have Court, then Marnie, then Carlos. So Court, are you still here? Are you here with me? You're welcome. I'm glad that it resonates. Court, if you're here with me, give me an emoji of sorts. So I know. Yeah, and that open to love in various forms card I love so much because my illustrator, Natalie, we have a very similar aesthetic. And the person in that card, she just popped up again. She's actually, if you look closely, her face is based on Tilda Swinton, who's my favorite actress of all time. Tilda Swinton is like just the coolest, for me at least. So, Court, cool. Oh. All right. These dropped, and I feel like they're meant to be yours. So, and you got two. So, Court. I speak with good intent. This is I speak with good intent. And this one says, I embrace the all. I speak with good intent, and I embrace the all. So speaking with good intent. So thinking about etymology, right? And we're talking about etymology if you've been on this whole talk. We're talking about the etymology of alcohol, how it actually means al-ghul, which is body-eating spirit. When you look at the etymology of the word intent, intention actually means to heal a wound. When I learned that, I was like, oh my God, this is mind-blowing. Intention. When you're speaking with intention, you're then speaking from a place of healing, to heal a wound. So speaking with good intent, our words are powerful. Language molds, shapes, informs the reality that we occupy, whether that's how we speak to other people, because then that allows other people to speak to us in whatever way we're allowing, or how we speak to ourselves. So one thing that's coming up for me is that whatever words are coming to mind in your journey this week, take a step back and think before you choose the words that you use. Speak with good intention. Speak as though your words are there to heal wounds. Speak as though your words are there to be sheet music, to create harmony in your life. Speak as though whoever you're speaking to is a direct mirror of you, so that the words that you use can come back to you in a way that feels good and healing and good. I know I just repeated myself. Good and healing and whole. Right? So speaking with good intent. Yes, you have to, I will, Rocio, you're my last one. I want to get you in too. So speak with good intent. So if you see here, she's waking up in the morning. It looks like she's like waking up in the morning, starting her day, putting in her earrings, like fresh, ready for the world around you. So even if it's just beginning the morning with writing I am, in lipstick on your mirror and just repeating to yourself, like, I am enough. I am whole. I am worthy. I am beautiful. I am deserving. I am love. Speak as though every word you're using is healing any wounds that may be present. And embrace the all. So I embrace the all. So this card, in the definition of the card, we talk about how cosmic consciousness is a term for a philosophy that transcends any religion, right? So cosmic consciousness is the idea is that, like, we are all connected, everything connects. The way that your veins are shaped in your arms is the same pattern as the way lightning falls in the sky, is the same pattern as the rivers are in the earth. Fractal consciousness, everything fractals out. The more you zoom deeper, the more it all connects. But embrace the all, and embracing that all is not like hiding from darkness or discounting your pain or turning away from trauma. It's being able to look through it, heal it, love it, and embrace it. Yumi Sakugawa is an artist that I really love, and she has a book called The Illustrated Guide to Becoming One with the Universe, which I highly recommend. And she talks about this exercise about taking your demons to tea. So instead of like trying to suppress them or take them away or just pretend like they don't exist, take them to tea, talk to them, because even they need love too. And it's interesting. So like in December, I have a guided journal coming out for Amenti called Everyday Amenti. And I talk about the difference between a demon and a daemon. So demon can talk about, like, you think about this word that comes up of like a negative entity, right? But if you've ever seen The Golden Compass or his Dark Materials on HBO, they talk about daemons. It's Daemon, which are helpful spirits to guide us. So if we look at our demons as daemons, you can transmute it. And these things that we perceive as negative are actually things to help us on the way. So I hope this makes sense. I hope this resonates. Be kind to yourself. Embrace everything and know that it's all there to help heal you and make you whole. So what is the name of the book? So we're reading from the Amenti Oracle deck, which is a deck that I am the author of. The guidebook is called Living with a Feather Heart, and the deck is the Amenti Oracle. Totally. Yes. You're welcome, Court. Yes, totally. Rocio, have you seen his Dark Materials or the Golden Compass? I love that show. It's really well done. The movie was awesome too, but apparently they couldn't do a sequel because the Catholic Church got mad. So who was next? So we had Court, and then we had Marnie, right? Marnie, then Carlos, then Pabs, then Rocio. Cool. Marnie, are you still here with me? Oh my gosh, watch The Golden Compass. That's what the show's based on. And Nicole Kidman's in it. It's really good. Thoughts on Spirit Science Patch Tarot. I think the beautiful thing about the time that we're in, that there are all these different tarot decks and oracle decks, is that you can pick ones that have art that resonates with you or words that resonate with you. Jordan and I actually taught together. Jordan River, who's the founder of Spirit Science, we taught together at Rhythmia back in last November. And he's lovely, such a sweetheart. It doesn't necessarily speak to my aesthetic, but Jordan's brilliant, and I think he did a good job with the cards, but they're not for me. I prefer other decks, and that's the beauty. We all can learn from things that speak to our soul. Haven't seen the show. The show is great. I have seen The Golden Compass. Heard about the etymology of daemon through an astrologer. It literally means nature spirit from the Latin. Oh, amazing. Cool. Do you know that there's a place in Iceland? There's a documentary that I wrote about on Evolve and Ascend. It's awesome. It's like called Invisible. I think it's called Invisible Worlds. And it's about how in Iceland, they really legitimately believe in the realms of fairies and elves. And if you're going to build a highway, you have to consult with the psychic first so that you don't disturb the nature spirits. I speak with sincerity. So Marnie, I speak with sincerity. So this to me is a reminder, and it's hard because I know you personally. So don't mind me getting a little personal, but I speak with sincerity. For me, this isn't necessarily a call to, how do I want to put this? The article that you wrote about your friend's tattoo, your tattoo with the dove, was so beautiful, so sincere, so authentic and beautiful. And when you use your voice and actually speak your truth, it is so sincere. It is so beautiful. It is so lovely. It is so feather-hearted. To speak with sincerity, pulling this card, and knowing what you're actually like going through right now, how I view this for you is to channel everything that you're going through into your words, to write it out, to blog it out. Whatever you're feeling, sincerely let it speak through you, because it's a tool that's going to help you transform and speak to more people that are also going through it. One of the most beautiful things about you is your heart, and you're such a beautiful person, and you are so vulnerable and raw, and the world is not in need of teachers that put themselves on a pedestal and hide their humanness. What the world needs now is people that can share their darkness and share the fact that they can survive it. Transmute pain into art, into creativity, and let sincerity be your guide, because that's what you are. You're a beautiful person. And to me, this card is just a reminder of that. So like, you see, she's also wearing AO for the Amenti Oracle, but also Alpha Omega is like the beginning of creation. Or if you look at the OA, the original angel, they say angels speak a light language that we can feel in our heart. And I think that what you create has the power to have that light language that speaks in our heart. So with what you're going through right now, with what's happening with Rudy, all of these things, channel it through your words, speak with sincerity. You're guided, you're protected. You've got that feather heart. Hope that helps. I love you. 555, yes. I hope that helps. And I hope I didn't embarrass you by telling you how much I love you and I think you're awesome. Everybody following on right now, Marnie Gandel, who is tuned in, is like one of the most beautiful people I've ever known, and is just a very dear friend. So excuse that love puddle that just came through that reading. So next we have Pabs. No, is it Carlos and then Pabs? So Carlos, if you're still here, give me a heads up. Give me an emoji. If you're not still here, Carlos, then Pabs, if you're here, give me an emoji and let me know what your name is so I can actually refer to you by your name. Okay, Carlos. Here we go. You're welcome, Marnie. I love you. Pabs, please let me know what your first name is, just so I know, and I can refer to you by that. And then after you, we have Rocio, and then I'm gonna make some food. Splish splash. All right, Carlos. I communicate with compassion. I communicate with compassion. So, the netter. So in Egyptian, netter is a word for goddess or god. It's basically like what I was told when I was in Egypt. Pablo, perfect. I was in Egypt with the chematology school, and when I asked about like what does netter mean when you're talking about gods or goddesses, netter in chematology, they say it's a force of nature. So Osiris, if you'll see the god of the underworld, right? Osiris is typically depicted as green, and some say he's depicted as green because his brother Set killed him and chopped him up into 1,000,000 pieces, or to 42 pieces. And then Isis, his wife, was so devastated she transformed into a winged bird, put all the pieces together, fashioned a golden phallus, and through sex magic, he resurrected just in time for them to have a son together. But they say he was green is because he resurrected. So it's like he's a zombie. But according to the chematology school, the reason why Osiris is green is because he's closest to nature. So if a netter is force of nature, that's the source, ultimate source, right? So the goddess that we see here, the netter we see here, is Hathor. So Hathor is kind of like an usher through an underworld. So I'd love to read you the passage from the book, because I feel like this comes through in a multitude of ways, communicating with compassion. And I really like this passage because there are a lot of ways that you can look at what she means. So, compassion. Communication and compassion both share layers of meaning and manifestation. Each has the ability to affect through expression and iteration. Looking at their fusion, may we be reminded of the ancient Egyptian goddess Hathor, who was the personification of love, beauty, music, dance, maternal energies, and joy, and is further embodied as the goddess Aphrodite for the Greeks and Venus to the Romans. It was believed that Hathor's heart shone through life, death, transformation, and transfiguration. In waking life, she took on different attributes of netters as needed, animals such as the cow or the cat and the cosmos. She was often depicted as the embodiment of the Milky Way. In the life of the underworld, she acted as an usher through the afterlife, greeting the dead with refreshments and comfort. Every iteration of Hathor life force found resonance with tenderness and a type of sympathetic communication that expressed the necessary magic of the moment, and she could feel, sense, think, and embody within a twinkling of time. Compassion is something to actively communicate as a fluid ideal that transforms with each expression and sentiment, depending on what metaphorical cards are dealt, and coping with the situation at hand. A reminder of the virtues of compassion finds resonance in the suits of the minor arcana of the tarot, energetic correspondences to the elements of Hathor's heart. Compassion, like the suit of cups, which may be filled and drank from, is a feeling of relationship to the matter at hand. Compassion can be in a thought, like the suit of swords, which communicates its power through action and discernment. Compassion, like the suit of pentacles, can be sensation in the way of a hug or an expression of affection where matter is met with mindfulness. Compassion, like the suit of wands, is something that can be intuited and expressed through the silent holding of space when it is needed. Body language and living language rooted in kindness and a loving nature are the embodiment of the humane. The life force of nature applied through empathetic elucidation and a fluency in the great faculties of the senses is the vehicle to affect through affection. Affection being eternally effective in life, death, and all the dimensions in between. So communicating with compassion. It's kind of funny that she's wearing red and blue. She's got the blue lotus and she's wearing the red dress. So if there's an area of your life right now where you're met with differing opinion, or adversity, or challenge, how can you navigate that with compassion, communicating with compassion? It's so easy to get triggered right now. We all have different viewpoints of politics. I don't know how old you are, but children of the boomer generation have their own set of challenges with trying to talk to parents about social issues. But compassion is really key in understanding and transcending. We're never going to evolve if we just cancel and argue. We're never going to evolve if we just fight. Even Martin Luther King said it. It's like you can't fight with hate. You can't fight fear with fear. You can't fight darkness with darkness. Compassion is a really powerful Jedi tool, and the power of asking questions. So instead of, when met with a challenging moment or met with differing opinion, instead of wanting to fight it, you're like, interesting. Why do you feel that way? Well, what difference has that made in your life? It's such a Jedi mind trick to ask questions and to be compassionate instead of getting angry or inflamed. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this offered insight. What I pull for one can also apply to all. There's 8 of us here. So whoever's listening, right? Compassion is so important. It really is a great tool for transcending. You're so welcome, Carlos. I'm glad that it resonates. So then we have Pablo, then we have Rocio, and then Adolfo. Yeah, I'll get you one, and then I'm done, and then I'm gonna eat. So Pablo, All right. I give blessings. I give blessings is what we got for you. So this card, so Natalie, my partner in this deck, Natalie Miller, she's an amazing illustrator. And this card is actually based off of a scene from the Neverending Story. So at the end of Neverending Story, when Fantasia is reduced to nothing because the nothing has taken over, the childlike empress gives Bastian a grain of sand. And from this grain of sand, he has to rebuild Fantasia. He has to rebuild imagination. What is that? Through the active imagination. So if you look at blessings as an active imagination into action, this card is really important. So what I'd look at this for your reading is like, who in your life do you feel that you could reach out and give a blessing to in the way of love, simple how are you, just active encouragement. You'd be so surprised how far how are you goes, because from that little grain of sand, from that little pearl, you can shape somebody's day, you can shape somebody's reality, you can shape somebody's rest of their life. You never know what struggles somebody is going through, like the cliche says, until you like walk a mile in their shoes. And even when we're on a spiritual path, or even when we feel that we're like super conscious and aware and have all this knowledge and wisdom and things like that, sometimes a simple act of just checking in with a friend can completely alter their life. Not everybody's always like aware that they're in your thoughts or loved. Sometimes, especially in this time, people need more tending to, and giving blessings is planting seeds for rekindling imagination, rekindling love. Be the blessing, exactly. Be that blessing. It's kind of interesting too, because like you see, in between these two figures are butterflies. And this year has felt like a collective chrysalis. You know, when the caterpillar goes into the chrysalis, it literally turns into like this disgusting goop. Solvet coagula, as they say in alchemy. And in this goop, it emerges as a butterfly. That process of transformation is difficult. So, you know, if somebody's in the goop, a blessing can actually like maybe make the process of transformation a little easier. And they can turn into that butterfly that much faster. So maybe look through your friend list, or look at recent texts you've had or haven't had, and just reach out, be the blessing, give blessings, give love, ask how you're doing. It really can go a long way. So give blessings. So the next we have Rocio, and then we have Adolfo, and then I'm going to make dinner. So Pablo, I hope that helped. I hope that resonated, and be the blessing. Thank you for being here. I'm so happy. I kind of like this format. Like maybe we just do this, pick a topic, have a little Dharma talk, and then pull some cards. So, Rocio. What do we have here? I speak positively of others. I speak positively of others. So here we have two figures, one with the feather of Ma'at and one we have with the scarab, which is basically like we're looking at keeping a feather-light heart and keeping a balanced mind. So, as you know and are aware, what we say echoes back to us, whether it's what we're saying about ourselves, whether it's what we're saying about others. Is there someone in your life right now that's kind of like triggering you or causing you to maybe like want to not speak as positively? A challenging relationship, whether it's with a family member, a friend, a relationship. It may be bringing up feelings or thoughts or words that may not be so positive because it's affecting you. So how can you transmute those triggers and find the alchemical gold, right? You understand alchemy, how we can take lead, which is this heavy metal, and transmute it into gold through the power of mind and the act of transmutation. So it's solvet coagula. I'm just talking about that. How can we speak more positively of the others that maybe make us feel not so good? And that's the hardest thing in the world, you know. My dear friend, who was a spiritual mentor of me, says the fastest way to win an argument is to admit that you're wrong. And that's like the hardest thing in the world, especially when you know you're right. Especially when it's something that's like, if we're dealing with like politics or social issues or personal issues or something where like you just know. But sometimes it's better to just drop it and say, okay, I'll let you go on your path. I wish you well. I speak positively of others. I feel like I need to pull another card for you to further expand on this. And if this is resonating at all or not, I mean, again, with any reading, take what resonates, discard what does not. But this is what's coming through with the card and just any intuitive little hit I'm getting. So if it's resonating, let me know. I'm going to pull another card for you. Yes. So she's one of my favorites. I benefit with gratitude. So again, like echoing words become things. I benefit with gratitude. So a grateful heart is a magnet. I got that in meditation a while ago. And anytime I fall prey to a pattern of not speaking positively about myself or other people, I stop and try to focus on what I'm grateful for. There's so much more to be grateful for than there is to be angry about this precious human life we have. In a moment where like maybe there's a pattern of negative self-talk, like how can you create a gratitude list? I used to wake up every morning and write out like 20 things I'm grateful for and focus on that. And you'd be so surprised about how that can like shape and form and inform your day. Just focusing on the things to be grateful for, zooming out of the things that make us feel less than or afraid or frustrated, and focusing on, wow, I'm grateful. I'm alive. I can walk. I can talk. I can speak. I can breathe. I can look at the sky and see the clouds. I can look at the evening sky and see the stars. I have a proclivity to astrology and understand things that so many people would like give anything to be able to wrap their head around. You have a beautiful mind. So focus on things to be grateful for. Speak positively of yourself and others. And love yourself. I mean, you have awesome energy, and I'm so glad that we're connected here. So the more positivity that comes through active gratitude, the more you can keep that feather heart, and the more you can have that balanced mind. You know, the scarab, what they say in chematology is what the scarab represents is like the brain. You know, we have the left and right hemispheres of the brain, the masculine and feminine, the intuitive and scientific, finding balance. So find balance through gratitude and keep a feather light heart by speaking positively and reflecting on all of the wonderful things that you are. And if anybody comes up where you just like feel like triggered or whatever, just transmute that trigger. And you're awesome. So do I have any recommendations of books about channeling or some source I can read? It's happening to me without looking for it. I just meditate. So Edgar Cayce, he was called the sleeping psychic, and he would go into trance states and channel and have medical diagnoses. And the Edgar Cayce Institute is really, really interesting. So looking into the life of Edgar Cayce, I would highly recommend. There's a lot of like channelers out there, you know, like Abraham Hicks or Bashar. And I have mixed feelings on them. Some people really relate to Paul Selig. I don't really know that much about him, but I really personally resonate with Edgar Cayce. It's EDGARCAYCE. And afterwards, I can I think the comments from here show up on the Instagram live. I'll send some other book recommendations. If you are practicing channeling, so if it's coming through without looking for it and you're meditating, creating a boundary practice is really important. Spiritual hygiene, because when you're opening up to worlds beyond, you're opening up to all of what can come through in the worlds beyond, and that can be really confusing at times. We talk about good, bad, and different angels, demons, two sides of the same coin. I used to actively practice channeling. I'm now doing it through like art instead of like automatic writing as much as I used to. But having a boundary practice is really, really important because it also can become addicting. To be like, I need to go to this realm and receive insight and see what's going through. So I definitely recommend discerning, creating boundaries, looking into the work of Edgar Cayce, not going too deep into a lot of the kind of like new age stuff. Like I just don't really trust Abraham Hicks stuff, and that's just my personal opinion. But I think channeling is something that we're all capable of. I think that's even what Jesus was teaching Mary and all the disciples, to tap into God. Because we are all particles of a greater God molecule. But yeah, definitely I'll follow up with recommendations for you. So we have Adolfo is the last one. Adolfo, if you're still here, I'll pull a card for you. And if you're not, I'll pull one final card. Well, I'll end it by pulling a final card for the collective too. And then I need to make some dinner because I have not eaten today and it's all hitting me at once. So I don't know if Adolfo is here, but I always read all the comments too. So after the fact, so if you're tuning in after the fact and you have suggestions for an Instagram live that you'd like me to do in the future, I'm going to start doing more interviews. I'm so sad. Like I said, my interview with Mitra was so awesome and it didn't save to Instagram live. But going into 2021, I want to do more like having more people come on. Rocio, I'd love for you to come on. I just really think it's a great outlet to communicate and create together. So Adolfo, cool. All right, Adolfo, I'm going to pull a card for you. And then when we're done, I'm going to pull a card for the collective. And then until next time. I don't want to set a schedule because I'm going to say like, oh, I'll see you live in a day or two. I kind of like coming on as I feel like it. So hope that's okay with you. So Adolfo, I relate in peace. I relate in peace. This is a really beautiful passage. So I want to read you the passage from the book. I relate in peace. Thank you, Pablo. Have a great evening. Great to connect. Thank you for letting me read your card. I relate in peace. So this contains a poem that I love so much. It's really, really beautiful. And even though Amenti is based off of an Egyptian concept, I decided to go a more like perennial philosophy, ageless wisdom, cosmic consciousness route with it. So this is actually really influenced by cosmic consciousness and this one in particular through Buddhism. So I relate in peace. The word peace is defined as freedom from disturbance, quiet, and tranquility, but also finds its origins in the Anglo-French word paix, which means freedom from civil disorder. And this is a poem by Nosul Khenpo Rinpoche. Rest in natural great peace, this exhausted mind, beaten helpless by karma and neurotic thought, like the relentless fury of the pounding waves in the infinite ocean of samsara. Human beings are living, breathing metaphors, each a tiny universe enveloped in the elements. In the BBC program Wonders of the Universe, the great physicist Brian Cox once stated that we are the cosmos made conscious, and perhaps this consciousness we participate in throughout our life experience is part of the ordered chaos of the great cosmic scheme. The infinite ocean of samsara can be thought of as the never-ending process of creation creating cosmic awareness, dreamers dreaming dreams, death being but a door to rebirth, and birth being a pathway for the process to begin yet again. Mystics of days gone by knew of this infinite cycle and studied the sacred nature of humans as a piece of poetry in motion, ordered creation which mimics the divine mind of the universe. Each person was studied for what they are. The physical manifestation of the body was believed to be the spirit molded into form, humanity as the analog, the universe as the digital. Each function of the body viewed as sacred code of the corporeal. I relate in peace as an ideal allows for ordered civility and reality programmed with peaceful tranquility, as we consciously flow through samsara's infinite ocean with embodied serenity and acceptance of our relationship to life and all of its processes and passages. So I relate in peace. So reading that passage and looking at this card, something that I would offer and inspire for your path is, it's very hard to find peace right now in uncertainty. This year, this election, this uncertainty, to find peace. Where can you lean into peace in your life and just breathe and be okay and say, I'm not going to carry this. I'm not going to let it harm me in any way. I'm not going to let these feelings affect my mind, body, spirit, physicality, anything. Where can you lean into more peace? So, do you practice meditation? Do you practice grounding? Do you live in an area where you can just take your shoes off and put your feet in the grass and just breathe? Finding peacefulness is really a call to action that I would offer to you. And the Buddha talked about how, the Four Noble Truths, and one of those truths is suffering. And in order for a diamond to become a diamond, a coal has to undergo a lot of pressure and pain and suffering. Coal, who knows how sentient a piece of coal is, but if you look at that as a metaphor for the human experience. So if there's areas in your life where you're feeling pressure and feeling constrained, feeling tight, and just not feeling good, try and lean into peaceful practice. I hope that helps. Then I'll pull one final card for the collective, and then it's dinner time. Steph, people tell me it's weird when I ground. Well, say that you're not weird, you're gifted. And I think being weird is a compliment. Hunter S. Thompson had a quote that said, when the going gets weird, the weird turn pro. And what you can also do too is, like, if you Google the scientific benefits of grounding, they talk about like the negative ions in the earth actually do have a scientific effect on us. So it's always good to have a rebuttal when somebody calls you weird with, like, well, science. And who wants to be normal? Normal's boring. I've been moving a lot of stress into important aspects of life. Definitely this is not helping. Peace must be the frequency to resonate with. Thank you very much. You're welcome, Adolfo. And I'm wishing you a lot of peace and ease through the transition. If you look on our IGTV, I posted a meditation that I made on connecting to your sacred space. It's like a 15-minute journey. I think it would offer some help, and it's free. It's on here. And it's something that you can practice and return to find wisdom and to find clarity and light. So I recommend it. And I hope it helps. And you're very welcome. So I'll leave this final card with everyone as we patiently await what's the shape of things to come. Well, Steph, this is something that I'll offer to you as a fellow walker of the path, a seeker of truth. You can't wake anybody up. You can't. Nobody wants to be shaken awake. So you think about, like, when you are sleeping and you set an alarm and the alarm goes off, how many times do you want to hit snooze because you just go from having this, like, peaceful, amazing sleep to an alarm going off. You're like, ugh, God, snooze. I need to get more sleep. But if you look at the metaphor of, like, my friend told me this and it stuck with me since, because I used to be the person that wanted to shake everybody awake and be like, don't you see, we live in the Matrix and everything's crazy. Nobody gives a shit. People have to find stuff on their own. So if you look at the metaphor of, like, those who are sleeping in their dreams, maybe you can be the person that's just in the kitchen making cinnamon buns and the person sleeping smells something good going on and say, hey, what's going on over here? So it's hard. It's so hard because when you tap into this stuff, you just want to shout it from the rooftops. And it's so hard to be like, why doesn't everybody see? Can't you see? It's like that movie They Live. But if you just are in a living embodiment of the things that you're learning, people will naturally gravitate and magnetize towards you. I can tell you this much. When I had my whole, like, awakening moment, I was working as a buyer in, like, an upscale clothing boutique, and everybody thought I was fucking crazy. They're like, you're going to the jungle and doing some ayahuasca? What is that? Like, they just thought I was nuts. And then those same people asked me for advice. And I'm like, you know what? I love you. I'm not going to judge you. Everybody comes to things on their own path, on their own timing. Be the person cooking cinnamon buns. Don't be the alarm clock. Because I'll tell you from personal experience, nobody likes the alarm clock. And I was that. So, and I'm only sharing this as somebody that did it. And I think a lot of people thought I was crazy. And now that I just am like here, they just come. So, Jake, I'm pulling a card for the collective, and then I actually am going to get offline because I haven't eaten today. I use MDMA to treat my mental disorder. Is it good? Scientific studies have been showing through organizations like MAPS that MDMA is actually an effective treatment for treatment-resistant PTSD. So, I am not going to encourage use. It's not medically supervised. However, MDMA as a therapeutic tool has been shown to offer really deep healing effects on PTSD. Marnie, yeah, Richie, that's a Richieism. A Richie Browntown would be the cinnamon buns. Oh, cookies sound good. I would love cookies. I love cookies. I don't really like sweet stuff, but cookies are my weakness. So here's a final card for everybody. I honor virtue. I honor virtue. This feels like a really good one. This is actually the first card of the deck. And virtue, it's something that we could all connect to right now, honoring that within us. So I'll actually read the passage from the book because it's a nice, helpful one. And I think it can offer strength for us to remember our strength, to honor virtue within us. So virtue, I honor virtue. Virtue is defined as moral excellence, goodness, or righteousness, but this definition alone does not fully encapsulate what living with this ideal means. It has been said that the four cardinal virtues are temperance, prudence, courage, and justice. Four cardinal virtues, four pillars emerging from a strong spiritual foundation that holds the divine astral architecture of the soul in place. The pillars of virtue can be honored by remembering the call to action this ideal evokes. To know means to record in one's memory, but to understand means to blend with the thing and to assimilate it into oneself. Egyptian proverb. Yes, that's peach. To show temperance is to be reminded to keep your spiritual scale balanced, to keep a calm mind, to control your emotions, to breathe, and to remember that love is the highest truth. To demonstrate prudence is to exercise caution, to remain practical, and to use discretion. It is to be aware and ponder the weight of your actions, and to contemplate how each choice may manifest through every area of your life. Weigh and consider your options for actions, because there always is a direct reaction as it ripples through time. To be courageous is to keep an open heart and to stay strong in the face of adversity. It is to be reminded to create from a place of love by aligning your heart with your mind. You can dissolve any fear by facing it head on, because the only way past fear is through it. All darkness has the potential to be transmuted into light by letting your own inner light shine. Emotional, physical, and mental strength are the actions of this inner light from which courageousness emerges. The fortitude of I honor virtue allows for a liberation of spirit, untethered by the binding chains of fear. To apply the virtue of justice to your life is to will what is fair and to remember doing the right thing always. Being righteous isn't about having to be right, it's about being right in the spiritual sense of a connection to heart, to compassion, to kindness, to empathy, and to a humble awareness of the interconnected nature of every living being. What a great note to end on. I hope that offers you some kind of practical tips for sovereignty through uncertainty, to honor your spiritual foundation. Whatever the weather may be, whatever the results may be, focus on your inner strengths and honor virtue within you. The best way to recover from borderline personality disorder, BPD. I am not qualified to answer that. I am not a licensed physician or a therapist, but I think therapy is a great tool. And I know, I love researching psychology, and I love to knit. And in psychology, they say that talk therapy is really, really helpful with BPD. So if you find a therapist that specializes in talk therapy, that can really, really help. Therapy is not a 4-letter word. I don't necessarily believe in medication. unless like there are instances where you really need it. But therapy's great. Everybody needs somebody to vent to that actually has a degree and can give you proper tools for your toolkit. So I'd look into that. Grateful for you, Rocio. Grateful for all of you. I'll probably pop on again within the next few days. But on that note, I honor you all. I love you all. I am so fucking grateful to have this wonderful community of friends and seekers and just fellow travelers on the path. So I love you and good night.